what infirmity do you have? How many people have infirmities of some kind? Could I ask the name of the... what's yours?
Fibromyalgia and anxiety disorder.
Oh,
Extreme anxiety disorder and
is that all?
Fibromyalgia. To me, it's a lot.
That's easy to fix. I can fix that in 10 minutes.
Well, I sure hope so.
But I'm going to hang it out so you get your money's worth. I had a friend, actually he wasn't a friend, he was a friend of my son, come from a long, long, long way away, billionaire. And he says, I hate my brother. He said, I'm not the kind of person who really hates anybody. I'm good-natured, and he is. And he's a Catholic person. And he said, I know it's wrong, but I have a hate and I can't control it. It's taking me over. And I want to kill him, my brother. So he says, I heard from your son and your daughter that you might help me. I said, could you help me in some way? I said, yes. You got 10 minutes? That's all it took, 10 minutes. And I sat him down, and I will sit you down too, as I see fit, as it's appropriate. And I put him in a state which he didn't realize he was in. And I will talk about that too. But I want to show you how quickly you can cure a person. I'm going to give you a little preamble to what you're about to hear and watch. And when I put him in a certain state, which he didn't know he was in, or he didn't know he was out of, because he was in a certain state when he came in. And when he sat down, within a few minutes, he was in a different state. He didn't know he was in a different state. And I asked him to talk about it just a little bit. And he says, my brother and I are having a terrible lawsuit, and he hates me, and I have been a good brother to him all these years, 30 years I've helped him. I said, you're not his brother, you're his mother. You've done too much for him, and you've robbed him. And he says, yes. That realization, he opened his eyes, and he's been better ever since. And it's just like that. He said, I couldn't control it. And here's a powerful man, no weakling, his huge boat, but it couldn't. He said, no, I can control anything, but this is getting the better of me. He still doesn't know how I did it. And he asked me, I just went to New York with some business along those lines. And he says again, in front of some very important people, he says, this man did this. How did he? I don't know how he did it. I said to him, and the other people, I didn't do anything. And the answer you might think is you did it to yourself. He didn't do it to himself. He got saved. He didn't know what salvation was. He's Catholic. A very, very, very prominent Catholic devotee. And I know that many of you are Christian here. How many are Christian? How many Jewish? Oh yeah. Well, I'm Jewish. Christianity is the fulfillment of Judaism. You don't need your damn verses and chapters. You don't have to go, you don't need all that crap. It's all crap. You have to spend your life with a person standing in front of you, as called a preacher, an intercessor between you and God. You don't need one. Damn the rabbi. Damn the preacher. He's in the way. You must understand that. You have to leave that crap at the door here. You're going to have a direct relationship with God, or you have nothing. No, it won't be nothing. You'd have a direct relationship with the devil. But you won't know it's the devil. You will think it's your own ideas when he thinks through you. Who understands this so far? Good. So, everything that happens here today, and if I'm still standing up tomorrow, is I don't do it. What happens is that it will surprise me. What happens to you, well, if I may just give a huge example, I think Moses needed a new pair of underwear when he saw what happened to the Red Seas when it opened. I don't think they wear underwear, to tell you the truth, so he's all right. Because he didn't know what was going to happen. He's not the magician. And Jesus says, of myself I can do nothing. The Father within me, he doth it. So he didn't do it. We act as a channel, don't we? So we can be careful, so don't stand in awe of anything that happens here. It's not me. Now it could be, everybody goes home sick as they came. That's your fault. But I don't think that's going to happen. There are some people that are easy to help. Let me start somewhere. You don't have to raise your hand all the time, but do you know what searching, when Jesus says, blessed are they who hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Do you know what that means? I think in Aramaic they would understand it better. Translation is awful in the Bible. Lead us not into temptation. God doesn't lead you into temptation, he leads you away from it. It's all nonsense. There's no word resentment in the Bible. You can't find it. They took it out. They took out the equivalent of meaning, so you'd never find the truth. Bear in mind resentment. So, where was I going with that? When I start giving examples, I lose my train of thought. Let me just gather myself, because whenever I give stories,
searching.
I get, huh?
You said searching. You know what searching is. You were talking about
searching. Yes, searching. Thank you very much. You are listening. I'm just testing you. I don't have any problems. You're just testing you. I don't have any senior moments, of course. So, you say searching? Yeah. Searching means this. All it means, make everything nice and simple. Have you ever remembered being a little child and the thought comes to you every now and then, not very strong, just in the back of mind, what's life all about? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Do I see little twinkles in your eye? Yes?
I think it's when you get...
you need to come up front here and not stand behind there and rush to the rescue. Okay.
I think it's when you get tired of the lies and you look for something more meaningful.
Yes, sir? But I'm referring to the little thought. I'm sure you have it. I'm certain, because the way you responded. But all I'm interested in right now is, have you ever had that nagging? Not nagging. It's just there. What is life all about? And it's there. It comes to you every now and then. In the midst of your troubles, you may forget even to think that you have it. And as a matter of fact, you may not even think of it as very important. Because you could be so screwed up that you may have forgotten that you ever thought like that. But now I'm bringing the subject up, and you can kind of remember that. It's there, isn't it? Well, you're qualified to get better. Because there are some people who don't think that way at all. Now, the majority of the world don't think that way at all. And if you do think that way, you're different. And people don't, and they sense the difference between them and you, and they don't know why they hate you. But if you're in a family and you have a lot of spoiled brats, a lot of mean kids, but the parents were more likely to reward their weaknesses or pay more attention to their meannesses and rebellion, and seem to favor that, give that attention. The weak one, they reward. The bad one they punish, but you are the one that is punished by everybody in the family. The weak, the strong, the parents. It's almost like you don't belong. It's like your household is like a government. If you see the government only picks the weak ones who are subservient and reward them richly, that's a hypnotic state. Giving a person who is not centered, who is feeble and insecure, they will go for that security. And if you give them $100,000 a year instead of $50,000 a year of working for themselves, and they do nothing, they rather do nothing and just sit and mark papers, and they just like the security, and they will die for you, die for the person who gives that security. That's why this country is in a dangerous situation, because there are beginning to be more people who don't work, favored by those that we give taxes to breed more of them for his own army. See that? And we're hypnotized by taxes. We don't rise up and say we don't have enough, because we're not unified. The country is not unified in God. It's unified in 100,000 different religions, each with a rabbi, each with a minister, each with something that gets in the way and wants to teach you how to think. And education is just as bad. Although religion is good, so I'm talking about religion. And religion is good, the Bible is good, and the universities and the science is good, and the medicine is good. All those things are good, but the people fall short of it. They screw you up, especially in religion. And the kind of people they turn out today, since we're having a socialist government, they don't want you to be better. They want you to be demoralized. They infiltrate the schools, they infiltrate in universities, they infiltrate media, they infiltrate all that to bring your moral tones down. So that when you fall away from, the whole country is living in a hypnotic state, and they do not know it. Now, I don't want to really demonstrate hypnosis if I can help it. I will sometimes, if it will make the point. But a person in a hypnotic state, and now you'll see a reason why I'm talking like this. A person in a hypnotic state does never know they're in it. I can take an educated man within 2 minutes, put him in a hypnotic trance. He doesn't know it's in there. I can make him stand on his head, think he's Napoleon, and he feel perfectly normal with that. Snap my fingers, gets back to what he thinks is normal, and has no memory of it. And if he does have a memory of it, he says, well, I was only kidding. I just felt sorry for him. I'm going to go along with it. And why did you change your shoes when I told you ahead of time that I was going to make you do it? Before he came up, I said, you're going to make excuses. So he says, well, they just felt uncomfortable. I just did that. See? He makes excuses for somebody else. I put thoughts in his head. And so he follows out that thought as if it was his own. And then when the person who made him do it, I'm the villain. I'm his villain. I've taken the place of his villain, that place of a villain. I said, don't you remember that before you came up, you volunteered? I said I was going to make you change your shoes around on your feet, and ask you why you're doing this, and you'll say, you'll make an excuse for it. I actually make the person say, why is the audience wearing their shoes on backwards? They're not, they're forwards. He said they're stubborn. Perfectly normal. As an educated man, wake him up, but he's not asleep. 2 phases. Now, all of you are in that. Every person sitting in this room is in that state, otherwise you wouldn't be sick. You wouldn't be here.
Yes.
Question.
What if you really know you're in a hypnotic state and you really can't do anything about it?
That's a good point. Now that's a good thing. But you didn't call it hypnosis before.
No.
But now you see that you are.
Yeah.
Right. That's a good thing. You're easy to help. Okay. You're in it because you have a consciousness still. The person I'm speaking about, this consciousness is always submerged into his monkey brain. You know what I mean by monkey brain. It's your intellectual brain, your hard brain. But the soft brain, the invisible brain, is speaking through me to you. I'm not speaking to you from my brain. I'm speaking you through my brain. My brain has information. It has skills. I couldn't do this if I didn't have a skill. I couldn't even lift the spoon. You know, babies have to learn everything. And while the baby's learning, the consciousness is allowing him to learn and to learn and to learn and to program itself to pick up the spoon. After a while, he doesn't have to learn to pick up the spoon. He picks up the spoon because he taught his body. But that's with his permission, because that's his natural self. Learning and learning. And a little baby, if you left them alone and didn't do anything but just be a good example to them and be a hard-working parent and be a good example, all you're doing is bearing witness to the nature of the child, and you're bearing witness to the child is not crazy, because you're not crazy. You just bear it. Your father doesn't have to correct the child, and when he's corrected every now and then, he corrects the child from a state of grace, which the child is the natural authority to that child. But an angry father and a weak mother, an angry mother and a weak mother are not that. They're the hypnotist. They think they have to teach a child. They think it upon themselves to bring this child up. They're only in charge of that child to make sure he doesn't go astray until he's built up enough strength. So that when 3 years old he's arguing with you, and so he should. Got it? So we are not supposed to teach anybody anything. You have to help to answer a question when they're ready. They will teach themselves, and when they don't know the answer, and when it's something more complicated and more technically advanced, so therefore there's no point in reinventing the wheel. So they say, how does this work? And then he's ready to learn. But you're not forcing it on him, he wants the information. Now, am I relieving you in some way? So, those of you who have difficulty learning, how many have difficulty learning? You know, have you difficulty at school? Huh? Yeah? And think you're stupid? No, they're all stupid, you're smart. And if you didn't learn anything, I bet you learn for yourself pretty good, don't you? Yeah, that's right. Every person's a genius. Every person sitting in this room is a genius, although you've grown up not a genius. It's only because your hypnotic state, you've never awakened from it, and you're still programmed by the teacher. The teacher pushes you, the religious preacher pushes you to learn it, otherwise you're going to go to hell. And then you might be scared and frustrated, you rebel against religion, so you don't believe in God, and you go to hell. And you accept the conditioning and the verses and chapters and go regularly to church, and you still go to hell. There's no way out. I want to give you a way out. I'm already started to, haven't I? Who understands me so far? See, so the teacher is a hypnotist, the rabbi is a hypnotist, that's your minister, that's your wife. Don't laugh. Women are hypnotists. They don't even know it. One touch of a pretty woman, you throw your whole family under the bus. Who, you gentlemen are smiling? You know what it's like? Now, the women don't really want to be that way. Some do. Some feel uncomfortable with that power. But they still have it, and they will screw your mind if you're not a man. And you get sucked in, and she'll hate you for it, because she doesn't want to be a man, because you're becoming a woman. You're changing roles. You're becoming a victim, and she's the pack leader. And spiritually, she's not meant to be, and she has conflict for you putting her in that role. Any ladies understand that? No ladies here at all? Yes, sir.
I think the most subtle is not the external, but the internal, how we keep self-hypnotizing.
You keep yourself in a hypnotic state by excuses. So when I was giving the example of a person changing his shoes, I'm the villain. I've taken the place of the villain. And so you'll see that he will excuse me. He won't see that I did it because he makes excuses. And when you make an excuse, what you don't realize you're doing is making an excuse for the villain that died a long time ago in the flesh, but is still living you in the spirit. Who understands that? It's getting simpler already. Now, anybody have any questions so far? Because, yes, would you kindly pass that to the gentleman? Thank you.
Are there people who are...
Would you mind standing so we can see your handsome physique?
Are there people who are not hypnotizable? Or
Yes, psychotic people. There are people that you cannot penetrate. Once a person is broken completely and is how can I say that, has lost confidence in everybody but what's left of themselves. So God can't get to them because they're in that state. But they're too busy, and every person they ever meet in their life does the same thing to them. They trust and they feel betrayed, and that betrayal is a hypnotic state. And so after a while they become they look normal on the surface, but you can't get to them spiritually, but you can't hypnotize them because they won't let you in. They're just sort of self-contained, and there they die.
So are you saying that the trait that a human being has of being able to be hypnotized is a God-conscious trait?
No, the hypnotic state is a disease. It is the beginning of the complete annihilation of you, so that you die from all the different behaviors that lead to drugs, to alcohol, because what you have when you exist, when you live and have your being, separated from your root of being as a child. Unless you become as a little child, you can always enter the kingdom. You have to find that state that you've lost when you came into the world, when the world thrust itself into you. Born into sin, not in sin, but into. Bad translation, into sin. See? And so then, as a child, you're helpless. Your mother's screwed by their mother and father, and their mother and father were screwed by their mother and father, all the way back to Paradise Lost when you had first deception. And Adam makes the first excuse, and the excuse is worse than the sin. Once you make excuses, you never stop. And when you make those excuses, you never see them as excuses, you see them as truth. I think you're going to go home now and you've got your money worth, and you can have a nice dinner. Yes.
Is there ever a time that you do become unhypnotized and
But you haven't got there yet, so you wouldn't be here.
No, I know, but what I'm trying to say is that at one time, because I've been listening to you since the 80s, and
my God, you should have been walking on water.
I know you're going to say that, and it was the time in my life that
Did you know I can walk on water?
I
It
wish.
must be ice.
Yeah, but and things never bothered me, and it was just not. And then it was about 5 years ago, I seemed to just kind of get back out in the world. I got involved with a person, and everything is just falling apart.
I know.
And I don't know how to get back to that.
Here it is. I'm going to give an answer that I may have to, work it just a little bit. But I'm not involved with my wife, my children, or anybody. I'm not involved. Your involvement, your first rule, is to be involved with God. Subject. If you're involved with a person, you want something from them. So, But you're involved with something and you want something from them because you've lost something from what is far more important than that. It's very hard to say. So the cure for your illness is salvation. And say, well, everybody talks about salvation, everybody talks about forgiveness, everybody talks about love. Well, when it really boils down to sex and music. That's about see? It's just, there's another kind of love, it's called the love of the world. And so when you are disconnected, and you are when you're a little girl, a little boy, you cannot help it. I came into a home that wasn't that way. My father, just to, hope I don't get off the subject again when I give these examples, but my father died when he was 42. He smoked 3 packs a day, but he was wounded in the First World War and got his citizenship then. And he never spoke about it, but he was a real man. His presence was in the house. He didn't have to be there working all the time. He could speak 11 languages. He could fix anything. Couldn't find a job. Eventually started his own little business fixing watches, bought broken watches and put them all together. And he built a little studio, a little bench downstairs. But then he died, and then my mother was a sweet lady. And she just was, she was spoiled as a kid, but she was loyal to, needful for my father. And therefore, I came from a home that had man presence. And when I asked my father what life is all about, here it is. He gives me the right answer. Have to find the answer yourself. Seek and ye shall find. And then he died. But he died from probably some disease no one wanted to ever talk about. He got in Egypt, where he learned 11 languages, where he escaped from White Russia, from Jewish, and he spent his life on the beach with young kids, and he learned the languages there. But he was a fine person. So I don't have any problem with father or mother. When my father died, she naturally, at 12 or 13, made me the head of home and the breadwinner. I never regretted it. Earned $4 a week and gave $3 to my mother. And we didn't have much, but we had a little nest egg. My uncle took that and gave him a dividend, so we lived on $25 a week. So, where was I now? I told you I lose my thought. Where was I now? Oh yeah. What was your question?
I'm just saying, if you've been on that path and you got off of it, and this is like 5 years ago, I got unentangled from this, but the 5 years I've not been able to get.
The involvement. The word is involvement. And you dare not get involved with any person, place, or thing. The only reason for it, there is no other reason for it, is that because you are missing something, a relationship with God, the broken root, and you don't understand what's happened. It happens like this. You have a dysfunctional home, and to make a point, and at 3 years old, your father leaves and your mother and a strange man comes and sleeps with your mother. And your mother marries this man, is not your father. And don't you think the children don't know the 10 Commandments when they're born? They just can't express themselves and not a damn thing they can do about it. All that situation does is tempt them to hate their parents. And there they go, honor your mother and father. It doesn't say they have to be honorable. But you have to learn that later in life.
I just saw something really clear.
Can you stand up a little bit so everybody can see? Could you mind?
I made my mother, my God. I just saw it. That was the relate.
But I've known you for a long time.
I know, but I
just
really saw it clear. I know I'm going to be better.
That's all you have to,
I saw it.
all you have to
That's
see.
what
it.
I came for.
How did you suddenly see that?
You said
I've known
something.
I've known you for 15, 20 years.
I think I suddenly saw it.
You've been getting better. You were in
I've been
really
getting-
bad shape. This lady was a very, very bad shape.
Basket case.
Her husband was worse, weren't you?
I really just saw it because of what I did. I don't want to do it.
Well, how do you see a thought? Where's the light shining on that thought? The thought is actually an image, isn't it? It's an image of something. It's like a thought is like a television picture. It's an image of something, not the real thing, right? How do you see an image from the inside? A light shines on it,
It's just this
but not a sunlight. S-O-N light.
Whew, that's a biggie for me.
That's what cures it. So what did you do just now? You didn't fight it.
No.
You just were relieved by it.
I came to this seminar very, very open and willing to see
I know that.
anything I needed to see. I just knew that. I wanted to come so bad to this.
So you're better already.
I'm
from
better.
that.
I can go now. No, I'm serious. That was a
You're going to
sticky
be bored
wicket.
for the rest of the seminar.
I know.
But you might find something else.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you don't need me to find anything.
No.
I want you to leave here as soon as possible so I can save all the money in feeding you. So the sooner I get the job done. Just kidding.
But this is the thing when she said she saw. I have never, to my knowledge, maybe I'm just moaning, made anybody really important in my life.
No, you
but
did,
but
though.
but I know this
You
one time.
did.
But I think correct me if I'm wrong. There had to be a weakness in me that this
Yes.
person had to have seen.
What is the weakness?
And it was a weakness that I thought I had gotten over. I've been divorced over 25 years. I didn't believe.
But you were lonely.
I wasn't lonely. I was in business, and I thought I needed someone to help me.
What kind of business?
Real estate, income tax, financial planning, and it was over.
Well, you're smarter than you look.
well, yeah, but I was overwhelmed.
Just kidding.
It was overwhelming to me, and this person kind of came in when because I was just a one person. My aunt taught me the business.
So you
and-
married because you married the man. Why couldn't
No,
you just hire him?
No, I didn't marry this person. I had divorced this person. My first husband was divorced.
What is the
This
involvement?
person I got involved with, and
What
I
does
got,
that mean? What does it mean?
I got romantically involved, which I was 8 months, and when I saw it, it was just like something hit me through the face. that
Well, you
this
didn't
was
get
wrong.
married?
No, I didn't
You had
get
a
married.
relationship with
Yes,
him?
and so and
Well,
then
that's it,
that's what I said, and everything went.
Oh, yeah.
I know, but I never have had anybody, no family member, anybody was that
No.
important in my life.
Methinks you speak too much. It is there. It is there. See, all those other words, extraneous, is just not necessary. You had the weakness. You had the weakness because the weakness is a separation from God. And look, I've been married 60 years, had all kinds of little problems with each other. I'm still here. She's still here. She's listening. And she's in the back of the room. I won't tell you who it is. The best looking woman in the house. She thinks that way. Anyway. But I don't have that weakness. I do not have the weakness for sex. I do not have the weakness for the food. I do not have the weakness for... It took a while. It's a slow breaking. You break this and you break that, and each one leads to another. On the other hand, it goes worse and worse and worse and worse until you go crazy and die from horrible diseases, from the lifestyles that seek only to fulfill the full. The fulfillment of a full is the love of the world. In anything you can pick, and each has its own particular disease. I have a slide rule can tell you what's going to happen. I'm like a fortune teller. I can tell you what you're going to die from. You open your mouth in a few words, I can tell you what kind of life you had. Because you're all typecast. You ever see typecast people on screen? Those are people, replacement people. Those, as long as you have a movies, go back over the years, you're going to see the same people, but they're getting worse because you never really put actors on the stage or in the films. They're really as bad as they really were in the world because you couldn't stand it. But as we become more crude and coarse, then they allowed more coarse things to be shown that, that wouldn't have passed the censure years ago. When I was a kid, you couldn't swear, you couldn't do anything on the screen that it was improper, and that was a noble country. You didn't want to corrupt the people, but as things got more coarse, the more coarser things of the world, because we were more coarse, we could sort of enjoy the fact that it's becoming popular to be a stinky and a corrupt, and it's like it reinforced the behavior. That you could put it up on the screen meant it was okay for you to do. So that became a reinforcement. Remember, hypnosis is the reinforcement of immoral behavior. And when I say immoral behavior, you may be a moral person on the surface, but you still have the struggle with the things of the world. And when the people who look happy by doing these things, they look so happy, they make a lot of money, they're having lots of sex, they're dancing and drinking, and they seem to be having lots of parties and making whoopee, right? And you think to yourself, they don't seem to get away with it. No, they don't. You don't see their end. You don't see what happens to them. You want to go to the government warehouses, or they may have died long before they got there, or misshapen and twisted. I've never seen a misshapen dog. I've never seen a misshapen cat. I've never seen a wrinkled fish. They all look the same when they die, when they're born, practically. Except the turkey, it looks cute when it's little, but that's what human beings are. They're turkeys. They're cute when they're little, ugly when they get old. That's why you like to eat them.
But if it's a yearning now within my soul to be better, and it's a yearning there now, for my soul to be.
But that's a given. That's a given. That's why you're here.
And I just don't know how to get back, and maybe I'm putting my will into it. It's just a yearning.
No, you're right. You are trying to save yourself. When you put your will into it, you are saving yourself. And because you don't believe in it, see, intellectually you believe there's a God, right? But there's a dark side to you that makes you believe the lie. The excuse is, how can I say this? The excuse is worse than the sin. You ever made an excuse? Well, then what you're doing is excusing the person who screwed you. Partly why I said that. It messed you up. So in spirit, he can die, she can die, but you are connected to hell through the agency of that person who did it to you. And so you may even long for that person. The relationship of bully, seducer, seductress, and you is what is a hypnotic state. And another word for a hypnotic state is sin. That's another word. All who sin are slaves. And the slave, rather than, remember, this is maybe a little difficult to explain, I'm going to try it. When you are seduced, when you yield to the temptation, as you'd yielded to the temptation because you need your idea, you could be a married woman saying, I need a husband for my children, but really the truth is not truth. You don't see the truth. You're looking for a fulfillment for your own loneliness. That is the real truth. The truth is not for your kids. If it was for your kids, you'd know better not to have another husband other than the one you lost, even if he's a bad one. See? And you'd wait. And you'd do the best you could with those kids without anybody, because you wouldn't feel the need for anything. You have the natural grace to be able to make it. You know there are women that can make it through life and work hard and scrub floors and whatever they have to do, even if they have to be a prostitute, which is a noble thing. When in Vietnam, when you didn't have any food on the table, you prostitute yourself out, you sacrifice yourself to feed your kids. That becomes a noble thing. See, we have to understand what noble is. So the truth is, in our civilized world, you know, we are spoiled, weak, pathetic state that we're all in. Which the whole nation of America is pathetic. Really pathetic. You've got the really bad ones and the nice Christians and nice Jewish people who are weak as piss water. Excuse the expression. Or use beer, to use another term. So I use a little rudeness once in a while to make a point. Maybe it's not necessary, but we're weak. And you're weaker still when you go to church. It shouldn't be. If you had a person like me, see, I don't have a following. People fall away. And then they fall away for another reason, because they forget to give me something for what I've done. That's it. They forget to give me the money so I can pass it on to somebody else. They're not grateful. Why a person falls away is because they're not grateful. I've got a person who gives me $4,000 a month. I've only seen him once. It's 10, 15 years they've been giving $4,000 a month, every month. I forget who it is. And then I have people giving a couple of $100 a month. But the hundreds of thousands of people who help give nothing. They walk away, thank you. My rich friend didn't give me a penny. I didn't ask for it. I'm still his friend. I'm friends with lots of rich people, give me nothing. I've helped them. They think it's good enough to be my friend, or good enough for me to be their friend. They sort of fulfill for that. There's something missing in those people. They're not grateful. Jesus himself, I don't know if I'm getting off the track a little bit, but Jesus himself healed 10 people. Only one came back. He said, did I not heal 10? They didn't even appreciate him. So, no appreciation? If I have to say, I don't mean to bring this up right now, but it's a subject. If I have to tell you, so please support me, if to help, and I have to remind you, after being helped, doesn't bode well for you. Because it should be a natural grace, shouldn't it? Yes. Should be. And I'm not a grace robber, I'd sooner go without. I still do okay. I'm still alive. But we just barely get by for over the years. We'd get by just fine. But I don't have a little tin can you pass, a little hat you pass around. Because there's enough people, small percentage, who are appreciative. See, that's all I'm trying to say. So here I am, I have need. Now, since I have need, I need money to support my work, right? I mean, even Jesus, they had a purser, didn't they? They carried the purse and they had expenses. And when they went short, he caught a fish and took a gold coin out of his mouth. I can't do that, except I do some magic tricks and it doesn't work quite as well. But the thing is, I have need. How do I get a need fulfilled? See, here's the thing. Here's your problem. I can just say, this is my problem. It's not easy to answer the question. I'm here, I still have that need. No, but there's not a feeling of need. When I say I have a need, I don't feel any. I don't care if you give, if you don't give. I actually don't notice it. I only notice it because the subject came up, in a manner of speaking. and I can bring myself into it because I understand myself better. And I think, we probably, being all children of God, we all have the same kind of processes. Except you're a real estate person and I do science and I do other things. Or I'm a mechanic, whatever it is. We have different skills. But we have the same philosophy. We have the same sentiments. That's why, I understand myself, I understand you. Because we're not much different, are you? Same children of light. You have to find the same system of the spiritual culture. It's a spiritual culture. See, but all the others are artificial cultures. Cannibalism, fascism, socialism, Christianity. Christianity is not a religion. It's, as I said, it is transcendent to religion. In Him, there is no Jew or Gentile or Greek, man or woman, male or female. All are one in Him, right? So there shouldn't be any difference in the laws of the mind, the spirit, the procedures, the decorum of the mind is different from the animal. And so therefore when you swerve from that, whether you never went to school, but you can be tempted by it, but the whole system is meant for you to be tempted by it. The only person, now we're going to get to religion to make the point, and remind me of, if I get away from that need for money, bring it back, because I'll forget. So, the only person who ever made a decision, the only decision that was ever made in this world, we think we're making decisions. If I make decisions right now, if I'm making decisions, it's not me that's making them. I just see what needs to be done and I do it. I see what needs to be done. There's no effort in the seeing. And I could say to myself, if I wanted to express it, how else would you do it? If you look at me funny, so how does he know how to do that? How is he successful? How does he do things I can't do? He never went to school. And when I do them, there are people who watch me and actually come up to say, how do you do this? And not good, bad people won't do that, but good people will say, the goodness in them. So how do you do this? I said, do what? He said, well, how do you know to do this and how do you know to do that? Are you successful? How effortless is everything to you, not to me? I have to figure things out. I don't have to, because it's a clear path between me, whoever I am inside my soul. It's disengaged from my brain, my physical brain. It's disengaged, disentangled. So it's just me and God. I don't know where God is. I don't know how to speak to Him. I don't know what He looks like. All I know is I know without knowing why I know. And how else would you do it? So I don't have any need for answers, because God is the answer all the time. That's what salvation is, when you transfer. When you sit quietly and you put you in that state, which is easy to do and it takes minutes. The secret of meditation is lost for years and put aside. Nobody wants it. The Pharisees, the Christians, nobody wants it. Because you can't control people who are sovereign people. You can't control people who are sovereign. I'm sovereign over myself, but I'm sovereign. God is my sovereign, but it makes me sovereign over what looks like my things. I don't own food. I don't own my car. I do. Technically, I have a title to it. And I'm entitled to it. But I don't feel ownership. I don't own my wife. I don't own my children. I don't want anything from them. I don't stop them from giving because they have to give. They have to perceive my needs. I don't want to manipulate them to fulfill my needs. But if I'm good to them, now here's a point. I can stop here to make a better point. Which person would you love most? The person who gives you a fish and gives you a fish all your life, but in order to get that fish, you have to do as he tells. Because otherwise, why would he give you a fish? Because a person who gives you a fish is rich. And why would he give you a rich? He may feel sorry for you, but he's elevated when he feels sorry for you. If you're giving something with a good nature, what you think is a good nature, you do because you're sorry for them, but you're elevating yourself above that person. And that person knows it and hates you for it. Or he becomes to need you and thinks it's love. And he'll do anything he wants. You'll do anything for that master that they want you to do for that fish. But you will not see it as a form of slavery. You'll see it as a perfect love and loyalty to this beast who rewards you for your loyalty and gives you many more fish so you can buy nice clothes and nice cars with your fish. You're in a hypnotic state. You are serving the wrong God, but this God loves you as you are. It's fulfillment. Who understands where I'm going with this? Now, what did I forgot now?
So you're saying that the need, whether it's the need for money or whether the need for anything, when you allow someone else to come in and fulfill it instead of you standing back and waiting for it to be revealed to you which way, then you step across the boundary of saying, I'm doing it for myself.
I guarantee you that if you are a noble spirit, and if Solomon says, I have never seen the righteous begging for bread. Ever. You will exude an energy that your children will see it, your wife will see it, and if you are thrown overboard on a ship and a boat picks you up and you end on a desert island, the cannibal king will see it. Say, this man's different. You see? It won't kill you, but it'll kill other people.
See, I had that for so long, and this is why this person just walked out of my life when they saw it.
Because you had a need.
I know that, but that...
And then when you have a need for someone, and they fulfill this need, you become more dependent on it.
Yeah.
Now, two things will happen. They will become dependent on serving you, and you will become a slave. How can I say this? When you have a need for someone and you fulfill that need, you're giving something, two things. You're giving something to that person that's not good for them. And you want something back, right? When you give a fish, if the person who gives the fish, he wants to be dominant over he wants something from that person, he wants his life. When you look to someone to fulfill your need, you want something from that person. And if they give it to you, you become dependent on it, right? Now, it works two ways. Let me work it your way. And the more dependent on it, the more it substitutes for what God would give you. And so therefore, since you have to have more fuel, because once the dark side in you grows from that person rising, then he's becoming a victim. He's becoming a victim, and you are rewarding him for being a victim, and he starts to sense it. And he has contempt for you. The more contempt for you he has, the more separate from God he is, and the more he needs to, he has to go along with you because there's nowhere else he can get it. You've become the focal point of his fulfillment, but so have you. And so, but you're getting hungry and hungry because you're feeding off of him. You're wanting something, you want his servitude. But you think you're loving this person. And in the beginning, the person may think he loves you because you're giving him something. But there comes a crisis where one of you sees what you're doing. And if he sees that you are manipulating him and he's robbing him of something while you're giving him something, you're giving him less, but he's giving you his life. And he starts to give you a hard time. He may try to stop you from loving him by doing something mean to you to stop you from loving him. Little children, when you spoil a child, the child will actually resent the parent, even though it needs the fulfillment, because what else can a child do? He's got to have a life, he's got to have food. So when the mother is manipulative, and he becomes submissive, deep down inside he hates his mother. Suddenly he becomes a mean kid. And why is he a mean kid? Because, one, if he's mean, his mother will become upset and become more guilty. When she's more guilty, she'll give him more. When she gives him more, he learns how to manipulate his mother. And he has to manipulate his mother because he doesn't know how to take care of himself. He has to get it from her. And he becomes a thief. His mother may never see it. Or he will actually become so mean to stop his mother from being so spoiling, from ruining him. He doesn't want this, what mother's giving him, to own him. So he makes himself a mean kid, difficult kid, so my mother will hate me and maybe she stops loving me. Because he can't stop himself. All he can do is stop by that behavior, hoping that she'll be mean to him and break the spell. You don't find this in physics book. You don't find this in psychological journals. Do you see that? So that man could run away from you, and then your heart will go after him, even though 20 years later it could possibly be that he's married somebody else. You're still hungering for this animal that was once your slave. You haven't got him out of your mind.
No, but but it got out of my mind. It left like
But
five.
no, it's still there.
But
It's still there.
well, I have no
What?
yearning or no desire or anything.
Yeah, but then you
it's
explain
works.
the anxiety.
I know, but it works through other things. I think because of this that had got
You start
into me,
substituting
other things have
You
become.
get your mind
yeah,
off it,
that
replacing it with other things. But the thing is, so when you lose one thing, if there's no alcohol, let's say you find yourself, you'll be sniffing glue.
So that's where the depression and anxiety comes from, not being able to deal with other things because you're projected
That's right.
onto other
But then
things.
other things you latch onto become
Yeah,
part of the
part of the
system
system.
of things. So you become more and more and more dependent, and the anxiety you can't explain because you have the money to buy it.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly.
You have the money to buy all these things, but they start to own you. You can't live with them and you can't live without them. So a person who has substance, that has everything, suddenly loses all his money. He has such an emptiness, he jumps off the Empire State Building because the pain is so great. You whisk it all away at once, bang. Now, why are you shaking?
I was cold.
Are you cold? You want to get a jacket or something?
No, I'm fine.
Sure isn't, what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
You're not disturbed by what I'm saying, are you? Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know.
You
Maybe.
don't understand what I'm talking about.
No, I understand. I completely understand what you're
What have
talking
you
about.
learned?
Well,
You're not cold, are you? A little bit. Are you? Would you like me to stop for a minute while you get some?
what I'm thinking about, what I've learned most is that the lack that comes from the lack of the connection with your Creator is what creates the need, and that's the need that from that basis derives all of our problems.
Everything.
And
Everything.
I think for me the most important thing, because I got caught up with understanding the need and the lack and what I was doing to compensate for all of it, and I wasn't getting anywhere really. Sorry, pardon me, I'm getting a little, I don't know, something's going on, but I wasn't going anywhere. But what I did was I kind of changed my focus and my perception on it, and I changed my focus to more so to strengthen who I was, meaning my identity as a child of God. Perfect. Already created perfect. I just needed to unravel myself to see that I was already perfect.
To find that perfect.
To find that perfection.
Actually, if I may stop you there,
Sure.
you're never perfect. Jesus says, "Be you therefore perfect, as your Father in heaven perfect." That's a very disturbing thing for ministers. They say everything in the Bible is true except for that. Because they all tell you that you can't be perfect. When Jesus expressly said, you can be. And it is in the first John, all about, everybody who says, what did Jesus come for? To save you from sin. What does that mean? To save you from sinning. So, but the salvation I will show you, if you're willing, will introduce you to it. It will link you up. You know, when you are seduced, you are linked to something. When you pull towards something and you give way to it, you are disconnected from what we call the true reality. And what you're connected to becomes your reality. And it becomes the need, and need looks like love. And when that love is encouraged and fulfilled, the love grows stronger because the identity inside you is being fed in a wrong way. So you become a wrong person. And this wrong person cries out to its source. The wrong inside you, the little embryo, cries out to what put it there. And it's lurking by every person, place, or thing. It lurks behind the bottle of whiskey. It lurks behind a pretty woman or a nice-looking man. It lurks behind dollar bills, etc., etc. It lurks behind everything. And when you partake of it, whatever it is your need, whatever it is you land on, whatever it is the idea comes to you, it may be different. So you're a gambler, or you're a hooker. Or you have avarice and you have a problem with money. You're a miser and you hold on to it. Whatever that is, same thing. Exactly in a different form. Exactly the same spirit. It looks different. With all the different religions, with their intercessors, their imams, their rabbis, their preachers. The soft preacher is soft mother. The mean preacher is angry father. And you want more angry father, because especially when he preaches good things when he's angry. And so you're a good boy when you're angry. So you need a substitute angry preacher. See? So I'm giving you a big outline here. I'm sorry that people who don't come the first day miss a lot. This is just a rough outline, an overview, if you like, of what it is you're dealing with. A disconnection and the wrong fulfillment. Now I'm coming back, now I'm actually coming to what I normally forget about, but I'm reminding myself. I'm not that old, you see. So, my needs are fulfilled, so I don't need anything. I don't need my car. I need my car to get here. It doesn't have to be the best one. If I was a millionaire, okay, I might have a new one. But I'm not. I just earn a regular salary. I don't earn as much as a policeman. I've been doing this 53 years. I've earned $150 million, $200 million for the foundation, use it all up. I just take a salary. And it's less than the average, much less than the average policeman. But I've saved my money and rented houses until they paid for themselves, so I have a little extra income. I'm independent. I turn the nickel over, and the less and when I turned that nickel over, when I earned $4 a week, I didn't. In those days, a candy bar was a nickel. I woke up 60 years later, and they're a dollar. Same candy bar. But anyway, but I then turned over that nickel. Little did I know, not begrudging giving the money to my mother, that it was leading me to paradise. A nickel. I didn't know it. I just said, do I really need that? No. Put it in my pocket. Now I've been doing that ever since. But what does that do? It takes me off self-welfare. That's self-welfare. If you treat yourself and you go from paycheck to paycheck and you can't resist anything you want, it doesn't fulfill you. It doesn't make you a better person. It makes you a slob. A degenerate, stupid slob. And not only it dulls your mind, because when you can't resist that, it means your temptation's pulling on you. It means you have a need, and the need has to be fulfilled. It could be fulfilled by anything, and nothing is enough. The more you want, the more you need, the more you want. The more you get, the more you want. The more you fill, the more of a fool you are for being fool-filled. And so your whole life is based around not seeing the truth, never wanting to face the guilt, but finding salvation through the candy bar. Candy bar being the beginning of the first thing you couldn't say no to, like the apple and the fruit in the Garden of Eden. It was just the beginning of temptations. It's a whole long line. You either have to eat the whole lot of apples until you can't eat anymore, or you have to have variation because you wouldn't be able. That wouldn't work. Although alcoholism works very similar, but all of you look normal, and the drug addict doesn't, because all he can do is drugs. More drugs, more drugs. The more drugs he has, the more he's running away from the truth. The more he's running away from the truth, the more of a fool he is, will be fulfilled with more drugs, and the more the drug pusher rises to the occasion of his need, and the hell and his God is somewhere in the South American jungle. See? And so, but he looks weird, it looks like he's got a problem, because he's got one problem, and somehow he eats less and less food, and his eyes are falling out of his head, but he wants the drug, even if it kills him, he loves it. You know, he'd die for it. It will kill for it. Because all it wants, he's only him. He has to have the fulfillment. He's got to feel good or God about himself. But with you get up in the morning, you have your coffee, caffeine. I'm not saying you shouldn't have coffee. Good for you. But let's start with that. And then, you have bacon and eggs. And bacon's no good for you. Eggs should be eaten raw. I eat my eggs raw. I didn't eat them raw this morning because I came in I don't think about my 5-star chef. I couldn't insult him, so I ate it cooked. But then you smoke, and then you drink a little bit, and then you go to the movies, and then you make yourself a nice dinner, and you eat too much, and you smoke a cigarette, and then you're thinking of yourself, while you're eating and smoking the cigarette, you're thinking about having sex. Actually, your whole life is always thinking of the next thing that's going to make you happy. But it's called a smorgasbord. So you look normal. And you look yourself in the mirror, and you're the sum total of all that. America is the ugliest people on earth. I went to Switzerland one time, and I found that the people well off there, they also look like Americans. Everywhere we have plenty, people spoil themselves. So now what's going to happen? What I'm going to talk about is this idea of need. Okay, I'm not finished with it yet. So I have a need for clothes. I have a need for air. And I had a need for sex at one time, but that's enough already. 5 kids, and that's it. Okay, so it's not something you toy with. But we'll discuss that later on, because it's a good subject all by itself. But I have a need for money. But I've never been begging for bread, because there's something about me not pulling on anybody. And so if I didn't have any money and I was standing in the street and not knowing what to do, somebody would come up and say, do you need anything? Yeah, I just need some bus fare to go somewhere, and they'd give it to me. I wouldn't have to ask. See? I'm not sure that's a good example. It comes to me. But the point is, the chances are it's not going to happen that way. The chances are I have made the good choices. They're not choices. I don't make choices. To me, it's, sir, yes, sir, which hill do you want me to die on? I'm a Marine in God's army. I don't have a choice. I have been saved from Adam's choice. I don't need the love of my wife. That is important. A man must not need anything from anyone, beginning with his wife. He has to learn to love his wife, not to need her. So you have sex, but that is a natural need, but also modified so it doesn't become unnatural, so you don't use that as a tool to give you the illusion of paradise. A high. Everything is modified. Your appetite is modified. When you have no need, when you are fulfilled, the whole process of fulfillment is to, let me give you, how many people are overweight here? Most people. So, with my nickel, now do this with the bread you should be eating. You're overweight. Eating all the foods that are wrong. Guarantee all the foods you're eating are wrong. All the foods you're eating are man-made. All the things you're doing are woman-made yourself. And all the things you're making is more delicious than it should be. And all the things you are making is cooking them. Which is better? Strudel? Tell you a story. Well, the story, you may have heard it, but let me tell it to you in case you didn't. I was hungry when I was 15, and I took an apple and I started to eat it. My mother snatched it out of my hand. She's a good woman, don't get me wrong. And she said, "That's not a dinner, it's dinner time." So I said, "What are you doing this for?" She said, "I'll show you what dinner is." She takes the core out of the apple. In those days you had a core, you could take the apple, I don't see those anymore. And she filled it with raisins and mincemeat, and she dipped it in some kind of sugary stuff, with brown sugary stuff is when you cook it.
Cinnamon and sugar?
Yeah, that's it, but it had a sugary coating, brown sugary coating. And she put it in the oven, and she cooked it, and she put it on my plate and said, "That's dinner." I never forgot it. I said, "That comes off the tree. That comes from her." Messed it up. She wants to be the giver of my life. You need to eat God's food off the tree, not the forbidden fruit from other places. There's other trees. See, there's the one that the woman hands you is the one that takes the place of God. The love she gives you is taking the place of God for the man. And of course, now, remember the story. He's the one that made the decision about playing God or loving God. And why does God give such a choice just as to one man? And the whole human race springs from that. Why so? Because now we're beginning to be very philosophical. Because God cannot create love. The devil can make you love him. Women can cast a spell on men and make them love them. That's not love, is it? Slavery. Is that correct? If someone can make you love them, isn't that a slave? Animals love God, but they're all slaves of the environment He created and operating through that. You're a slave of the things you buy. Your cars, your drugs, your food. You're a slave of all that, but somebody's messed with it. So what your real need is, which animals do not have, is a direct relationship with God. The evil will keep you from that. In other words, you are born into a lineage, generations of a man who made the first excuse and was cast out of paradise. So sin begins in the mind, and salvation is found in the mind, right? That's where it begins. And so the return to paradise lost is in the prodigal son. You have to have the longing. In other words, we are all born subject to the woman, who is subject to the dark side, who never heard, "Put the fruit down, Eve, God hath said." Remember, if you're a little boy and you see a dollar bill on your dad's night table, I have to dollar bill because it's only worth 5 cents these days. But in those days it would be 5 cents and it would be still as much. A dollar bill on your dad's night table. And you're an angry kid, You have this impulse you don't understand. You want a little boy's toy soldier or a little car, a lead soldier, whatever you want, airplane. Something says, impulse, takes the money. Daddy comes in, he says, did you take this money? Let's assume he's a decent dad. Bad enough to have a bad dad makes it worse. The first impulse you have as a little boy or a little girl, it's so painful. That dollar, piece of paper, it's a small thing. And yes, the smaller it is, the worse it is. Because it's okay to sin, but not to excuse it. The minute you excuse it, you are protecting and empowering that source of the impulse, which equally is invisible from God. See, I don't see where my lack of impulse comes, my ability to overcome impulse. I don't see it. I know I don't have impulse. You can't induce an impulse. I catch it. And it's so natural, I don't even know, you can do whatever you want. You can even put a gun to my head and I won't move. I don't know why I won't. You could nag me 24 hours, 7 days a week, for 60 years, if you want to. And I don't move. I can be strong. I can stand up and say, shut up, but there's no anger. And there's no impulse. There's no frustration. There's nothing. I'm fulfilled, and the person who plays with me needs something from me, especially when you're married. You're married for each have a need. I had one to begin with. I quickly found out it wasn't where all it was cracked up to be. But I had enough experience in my understanding of hypnosis and everything, and life itself. At 24 years old, I was pretty smart. And so I learned to face my problems, even though I had very few, but they were there. And the weakness was with the woman, and I learned to deal with that. But I learned not to need. But the wife still had the needs, and I won't play the game. And then she gets angry because I don't fulfill the need as a man's supposed to. That need is a kind of need that is appropriate to make sure that she's healthy, she's protected, she's loved, she's corrected. Put the fruit down, Eve. Don't nag me. No to every unreasonable request. Yes to every reasonable request. But no to what is not appropriate. Not to give in to the woman for any reason whatsoever when it's out of order. Where she screams and gets upset and gets mad and doesn't make you your dinner. Nothing. Nothing must move you as a man. She's tempting you for love. And to give her something it's not good for her to have when she gets it. Who understands that? What are you laughing about?
That's so true.
See now, it's all that new. This comes from your question.
So when you turn it back on with the woman and her needs, where
Screw her needs.
No. I'm talking about
let me start again. You can finish in a minute. The woman may want something it's not good for you to give. Everything else that you don't give her that is love. That you don't give that need. You don't fulfill the need to be romantic. The romantic need is a disease. Now, so how can I say this? I can save your life if you just understand it. I gave a good advice to a young man who worked for me, who was 15 years old. He's now 57. He just got married a year ago. And he learned from me. He never had sex with any of the women he went out with. His father said to him, he wanted to be in the financial business with his dad. He said, he doesn't want that. I said, Steve, do whatever you want. Find your own way. That's what my father told me. So he did. He became a very wealthy builder. And he would go out with girls, and pretty girls, and he's a nice-looking man, and they all offer him sex. These years have gone by different. Well, they weren't much different in my day, I suppose, but it's more so obvious, it's blatant. And he wouldn't. And therefore he said, well, you're not a man, you're a homosexual, what's the matter with you? The women would curse them because he wouldn't take their bodies. And he said, I can't find a woman that isn't a whore. I don't want anything for her. I just want to treat her properly. She doesn't want to be treated properly. She wants something for him, so she's going to give him sex to get what she wants, and then he dies a little bit, and so does she. He gives her, remember, the bully and the coward. The bully in this case is the woman, in this case. And she's using her powers. But she's probably had a bad life and come from a bad family, like they all do. And so the only thing she's got to offer to get what she wants, because she's a woman, and she doesn't have the training and she can't make money, she finds a man that's capable and has something and it works. Women don't have a hard time working. They're not meant to be working. They're supposed to bear children and be mothers. Although it's good for them to have skills. Don't get me wrong. These days, it's a good thing to have a woman to have good skills so she doesn't need a man. She doesn't have such a great craving need for a man, she'll do anything. But the point is, I'm trying to make it, saying too much maybe. But the thing is, he waited. And all of a sudden, he comes to see me, but I said, I'm married. That's it. I saw the lady one time, very nice lady. And he said, I didn't marry for what you think I did. I married because she was lonely. She lost all her family. And I just thought it'd be a good idea to marry her. I married my wife the same way. I saw that she was lonely, and I thought it just wasn't well thought out. It wasn't out of craziness. It was, I just sensed that I need to marry her. That's it. I was wrong. I wasn't wrong about it. I got 60 years of marriage. Yes, that's it. Simple. She still wants what she wants and gets a little pissed off once in a while. But, okay, it passes. But I have a strong family. And she's better for it. Okay, and I'm a better man for it. See, I've learned not to say no to the woman. I've learned to say, put that fruit down, put it down, Eve. No, you can't get away with this. No, you can't confuse me. You can't play these games. It doesn't work. It doesn't mean to say that it's going to get better. It may get worse for a while. I don't give a damn. I hold my ground. When I hold my ground, you can't beat me. Now this is something you need to understand. It works in the lack of need is such an important question. It's so important. And only from my own life I can give you examples. In self-defense. A man goes through life, through danger. I've been around the world on my own as a young man. I've been in the military. And everywhere I go, I have to take a stand, right? You have an idea of the kind of stands I take. I won't bore you with the details. It'd make a great movie. I mean, something you never see in a movie. No matter how exaggerated you see on a movie, you never see the things that happen to me. How I come out smelling like a rose. But not because I'm a hero. Because I have no need to be angry. I have no need you cannot intimidate me, know how big you are. And so there's something about that it has no need, no fear, no anger, nothing. So when you come towards me and you're a big fat guy, wants to do me in, There's something he needs from you he needs from me something that will give him the power to hurt me. He's a beast. Let's call them the beast. He has to eat me. He has to eat my soul. This is in sex and everything else you want to think of, different forms. But here's the violent one. And the women might understand this, because it will work for a weak woman against a man 10 times stronger than her. So here is the God principle. So here he's intimidating me, looking me in the face. Who are you looking at? You know, that kind of attitude. I don't like Jews. Okay. But the thing is, what does he want from me to be able to hurt me? He wants me to be afraid, one, and he wants me to be angry, two. If he gets one of those reactions, you give him the power to hurt you. He cannot function. He's an animal. A smaller guy, am a dog whisperer. I'm the pack leader. He's an animal, and if he can't intimidate me, the intimidation, just if I feel the fear, if I feel the anger, I'm a goner. I won't be able to beat him. If I don't feel the fear, if I really don't feel the anger, nothing. Absolutely nothing in the face of intimidation. He's strangely puzzled. He can't lift a finger. He cannot hurt me. Because he's sending out an energy signal to search in me for that feeling which will come back to him as a message. He's weak. He's small. There's no thought here. It's just that way. Now, let's say it's really dangerous, and that doesn't work. He underestimates me, and before he knows it, he's hit the ground. Because I move in my time, not in his time. The underestimation is that I'm not going to do anything. He can't figure I'm standing there and I'm not moving. He wants me to react, and he's so caught up with the puzzlement of this, but I see then I can read his mind, he's going to hurt me anyway. But I'm 160 pounds, and he can be 250 pounds, he don't have a chance. Because it's all a matter of timing. I don't wait for anything. He goes down. Or I shoot him, one of the two. It doesn't make much sense. It's timing. The magic of timing. But I don't have to time it. I know what the time is when it comes. I know what to do when it comes. See, I don't know if this means anything, but when I was a kid, I learned judo. And I learned how to learn from a book. So you have to remember all these moves. So in the beginning, when I would practice, there's a fraction of a second when you have to think what to do when your opponent comes. But when you become good at something, you don't have to think. Your body knows what to do. But not only does your body know what to do, that's one thing, but the timing of it is the other thing. And the timing comes from a timeless one. It is all the difference in the world. You're not responding to the world. You don't think like ordinary men. You don't move and have your being like an ordinary man. But you are an ordinary man. Everybody else is extraordinary. They're abnormal. You're normal. People used to worship me. You put me on a pedestal. I said, you think I'm normal, don't you? Think I'm wonderful? I said, no, you're degenerates. I'm normal, you're not normal. Do you think I'm better if you put me on a pedestal? I'm just a normal person. I'm what you should be. Don't put me on a pedestal. You're the one that's imperfect. I'm just an ordinary pet. I'm what you should be. Nothing unusual. That's how a human being should be. See that? So I can't claim anything that I'm clever at something. I'm not clever at anything. Manipulating, I manipulate. I have a right to manipulate my enemy. I have a right to produce paralysis in him and then hit him if I want to. But I don't need to. I'm still 85, I can still do it. But as I get older, I've developed other spiritual skills. And that's one of healing. That I'm a peaceful man, meaning I'm at peace with myself. But the trouble with that is I'm at war with God. I'm at war with the world. If you're at peace with yourself, you are immediately at war with the world. But the people can't hurt you. Jesus allowed him to be self-defeated on the cross. You couldn't put him on that cross if it was not meant. He knew what was meant. He knew what the purpose was. So much so that when Pontius Pilate, right, wanted to set him free, he made a ruse. He knew about the law. On this day, you can set somebody free. Give us Barabbas. He never expected that. Got it? He was going to go on that cross and you couldn't stop it. Who's following me? You know, we've been here almost an hour and 40 minutes. Oh, 1 hour and 40 minutes, yes. It doesn't feel like it, does it? Now we're going to get into, as the day goes by, and as the days go by, we're going to get into people. But I want to lay some groundwork. That's all I want to do. It won't be like this for the whole 7 days if you're going to be here. Who is the question? Yes, sir.
When you were answering her question, you described about a kid that had been spoiled.
Yes.
And what that happens and how the kid rebels back and then they become typecast like that.
Yeah.
How do they break free of that? I mean, how does one...
Are you that child?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Well, see, the thing is still who was it? Mom?
Yeah.
Still hate mom. Still have a problem with women spoiling you. You look for the woman. You unconsciously look for the woman to replace your mother. And again, it looks like love. It does look like love when she rises to the occasion of that day. You call upon that. And all of a sudden, you find yourself in the same position, and she starts to hate you. And you start to resent her. And then you go to drugs. You ever taken drugs from that? And but a special kind of drug. There's a special kind of drug that goes for spoiled kids. What was the name of the drug? Huh?
Heroin.
No. No. I'll know it when I hear it.
It's Adderall.
What was it?
Cocaine.
Marijuana, speed.
Oh, no, not
Somebody
that.
said Ritalin, which is...
No, not Ritalin, no. But anyway, there's a certain one that generally fits that role. But it's your relationship with the women, because the women replace your mother. The women by nature but replace your mother. They do. And even though you hate your mother, you have a need for her. Because the hate separates you from God. Actually, the reason why the bully wins by intimidating you, and it's because they win because when you are intimidated, you disentangle your intimidation is your human response minus God. And you can always tell how far away you are from God by how much emotion you have in the face of stress. The less stress, the less emotion you have, the purer you become. Until there is no emotion at all that someone can pull the strings. The strings of my emotion don't belong to you. When I give myself to a person, if I'm intimidated, I'm handing over the strings of my emotion to you. And you can make me feel bad, and you can make me feel good, and when you make me feel bad, I need you to make me feel good. But if you can't make me feel bad or good, too bad for you, you don't have any power. And if you're addicted to power, you can be a bully. And the bigger bully they are, the easier I can take them. Because they're not used to a person not responding. I could be this tall, as skinny as you, and you couldn't do it to me. See? So it's not me, it's the Spirit. Now you understand need? See,
it's like for an independent woman, and you were talking about
You're not independent yet.
No, but I'm saying independent financially all my life.
Yes.
And when you meet someone and you think that they can emotionally or help you, because I've been independent almost all my life. For about 30 years, I've taken care of myself.
Why have you been independent?
That's
Give
where
me a reason for
I
your
was bred. I was in business for myself, and
I know that, but what was your home life like?
Well, it wasn't the worst, but I had a mother that was a mathematician, very smart. My father was one of the best for us. He moved from the South to...
Best what?
The best for us. He moved from the South to Arizona for us to have a better living, and they expected us, to fulfill that because they had made a sacrifice. And so, he instilled in us all that he owed us, him and my mom owed us to start us out, but nobody owed us anything, and he wanted us all to be better people. And so from early age, I started at 14 years old working because I finished high school, and so I have always been independent, and that's why I say when this hit me, it's like it was some weakness that had been laden dormant in my system that this person brought forward.
You made independence and making a living in the mode of in the proper way. There's a proper way of being independent financially. So you should, as I said, Solomon said, "I've never seen the noble people begging for bread." Right. So there's a proper way. You are naturally independent if you have a noble, but if you put too much emphasis on that and call it independence. Where does it say in the Bible, there's no salvation by works? Am I right? So you can work hard, be a very good business lady, and everybody likes you. You can give to charity. You are kind. You lend money. You give money. And you are fulfilled. But if that fulfillment is substituting for God's fulfillment, and it might be because it's easy when you get an easy life to settle down enjoying that, and then find that for some reason there's an angst. It's not quite enough. And now you've got, but you don't understand what it is not enough, what is sufficient.
Well, I think it was the responsibility that they put on me as a child to help. I wasn't the oldest one, but I was the most responsible one, and they expected me.
Slow down here. Very good point. We're coming to it. I'm gonna cut the questions in pieces. Did you take on that responsibility in contest with your siblings, or did you take on the responsibility begrudgingly because you felt the push, and did the push replace your own initiative? Because it can.
Partially. I tell you how it began. I saw my mother come home, because it was 10 in our family. I saw my mother come home one day, and she was so tired that she just fell out in the bed. And I thought, I'd heard about other mothers, dying at the time. And I said, I don't want my mother to have to die early because we'll be all left without. And I had a twin brother. And I was breech born, and my mother wasn't expecting me I was born at home. So when I was born, she didn't want a girl. I didn't learn that till later.
She didn't want a girl.
But when she knew she had a girl, because I was breech born, and so when she was trying to deliver me, my got caught right there, and I couldn't. So they had to try to get, because we were living out in the country at that time, try to get the doctor there in time to have me delivered. Otherwise, I would.
But that's not the important.
No,
part.
but since then, after then, she said, she told me, she says, after you got about 2 years old, I didn't think there wasn't anything you could do. You were just responsible. And when I saw her, I was about 5, fall out, and we had already had, she had already had kids, one right after the other. I thought,
the question
look at me.
She didn't want a girl.
I don't think she wanted a girl, but she had 4 or 5 more, but
she didn't want
at
one
that
more.
point. At that point, she didn't want a girl. She wanted a boy.
You felt rejected.
I felt I never had the love. I know she loved me, but she didn't know how
But
to
that's
give it.
But there's a bit. But you resented. There was a
And
resentment.
I tried to make it up in
Yes.
being
You tried to
responsible
make it
and to
my
be,
responsibility.
and never giving
There
her
it is,
problem.
right there.
Yes,
There.
I know.
You understand?
I
It
understand.
took the place of love.
I know all the time, and I've always run, and I was responsible for my twin
You got
brother,
your
and he
answer.
was my twin.
You got your answer.
And when he took his life 10 years ago, it was like I just said I got to get back into being responsible because I lost all my family.
Trying
you know?
to save your family.
I tried, but I don't push anything on them. I
But-
just give it out to them now. Years ago, it's been about 10 years, and I tell them things. I don't go to them and say, they'll even ask me, now, where you going to this? I don't preach to them. I don't tell, because I learned that I cannot give them
you're
anything.
a sweet lady.
But
You're
is
the-
something still wrong with me,
there's
Mr. Pastor? Is something
but
still
you
in
passed
me?
by it. You actually, I heard you pass right by it. I heard you, but didn't hear yourself. You passed right by it as you were talking. And let's go over it again. You were rejected.
Yes.
You resented your mom.
Yes,
But you had that resentment made you feel guilty towards your mom. You're a good person. When a child is born, they know right from wrong. They want their parents to love them. They want their parents to be princesses and princes, right? Your mother rejected you. She didn't reject the others. She rejected
me, yeah, and one more person. in
So
the
you
family.
felt that resentment separated you from God.
But my dad loved me.
No, never mind. No, you didn't like me. No, your dad did the best he could.
Yeah,
Because we don't know what love is yet.
yeah.
And how did your dad love you? By encouraging you to be.
Yeah, he was always.
Encouraging you, but encouraging you, which is a good thing. He doesn't know the secret thing that's going on inside you.
Yeah, yeah.
I encourage my kid to be entrepreneurs.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the way, yeah.
But your entrepreneurship was done out of insecurity, and therefore, see that? And you began to resent your dad as well for it. See, crying now, aren't you? See that? How simple that is. There it is, right there. Now let's finish with her first. You mind if I talk to her?
It's connected.
Connected, good.
She said something that we skipped over, and I think it's important. She said, I saw my mother come home and drop on the bed, and I thought she was going to die.
Yes.
That same responsibility.
Same
See,
thing.
she felt responsible. That's
Because she
why.
wanted mother's love. She couldn't die
didn't want
without
her
it.
mother to die, so she had to work hard and be the responsible person.
Yes. See? All you have to do is bring this to light, young lady. You're a beautiful creature.
But I didn't see it then.
I know you didn't see it then, but look at this hypnotic state. You've lived in that hypnotic state all your life as if it was normal, but you were almost normal. You were almost complete. This is the only thing you needed to see.
I know, no, because I was always the person that they always thought was something wrong with, and I saw this, and they say, you're not seeing this right.
So it gets more complicated then, doesn't it? They begin to be jealous of her.
Yeah, all of my
Jealousy and
sisters.
jealousy. And out of that jealousy, she's trying to, she resented the jealousy and she tries to help them. It's much deeper than that. It's getting deeper. In her generosity, she's actually trying to be better, to do good, because the good is works, and the good works do not save. They deepen your involvement with the people you're trying to save.
And then I
They laugh at
projected on to, I live right in central Los Angeles, and I tried to work with the black community and the ones that I knew were not. And some of them took advantage, and they, would mock me because I would try to teach them to speak better. And
then the more you tried, the more they laughed at you. The more you laughed at you.
I mean, it's a great bit of care, but it was like, simple things I would tell them, and they would just fluff it off like I was something wrong with me,
I know, there it is, and you got irritable. See, and that's the temptation again. The fruits of your work always meets. The fruits of my work meets with the same thing, but
I
don't care.
know.
This is how I think. I give you good advice, and I will show you as many times as it takes, as is my responsibility. If you drop dead, I say, oh, what pity. If you get better, that's okay too. I didn't do anything. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to. I'm doing what I'm supposed to, but if I have a will, listen carefully, here's the other part. If my sense of worth depends on improving that person's life by doing the right thing by them, and my will is involved, I will get frustrated because they don't listen. They have a right not to listen. They have a right not to hear you. And if you don't understand that, and you think then you get frustrated because they didn't listen, especially if it's your family, and it's your family. Understand, it's a different category. So if you give them good advice and you actually help them and give them money and to start their own business, to do all those things, and they don't appreciate you, or they don't listen to you, or they don't believe you, or they mock you on top of it, but just take the first two, then the result is frustration, and frustration is rejection. Bingo. And rejection makes you angry and takes you further from God and makes you try to make it work. And the more you try to make it work, in the very best of things, let's say that what you're giving them is the gospel truth, the flawless truth, the missing secret of everlasting life, and you know that, and they look at you and laugh. And you don't, and you get upset. You don't get upset. You've delivered the message. You must not rob them of the freedom of taking it, because you don't know the person. Some people, if you did it with grace and without force, because it's important to you to be accepted. Got that? If you do it with love, they will know the difference. And either they'll reject it because they hate truth, or they will see you like no other person, is never forcing yourself on them, so they can receive it as a gift because of choice. To choose to be saved. So that's it. In other words, the inclination is to be saved. Remember, the first sin was the only choice we ever had. We're all born into this. She's inherited that. So, did I force myself on you just now? I walked you gently through it. See? And then you saw it, but I didn't push you to it. You saw it for yourself. I walked you through the place in your head where the light shone, right? It wasn't me, was it? It was him in you. I was just reminding you that what was so. But you got tangled in it, but now you're not. Got that? You can walk out of here okay now. The anxiety goes away now, doesn't it? See? You'll see. That would take 10 years in a psychiatrist's office and you still wouldn't get it.
But Roy, what was her need?
The need was for her.
When she had the affair, she had an emptiness.
The need was still there for love. If it wasn't from a woman, it was from a man. But you find that there's a woman in the man. What you found is that man wasn't a man, it was your mother again.
Yes, my mother and father both.
Dang.
They had this
Yes.
resemblance of look of my father and the smartness of my mother.
You know what? The average man is made over in the image of a woman. So if you think, you're going to make up your mind you hate your mother, right? So in your hatred of mother, you want a man as a woman. You know there's something about men that you need something from them. And you know what the real thing is, and you know they're not the real thing is. And so the trouble is a troubled person needs this man. She sees that I need a strong man. But there's also strong wrong men. And when you find that person, you will always be drawn back to the scene of the crime, because without understanding salvation, if you can't look to a man himself for the salvation. So when you give yourself to a man, what you've got is the mother. You married your mother.
Can you say that again, Lord?
Yeah, because every man born of woman without a father is a woman. When you have man and a woman fighting each other, when you have a woman and a man and they get into an argument and the man gets angry and frustrated and gives in, either way, you have two women fighting. The women do it better than the man. In other words, when a woman upsets a man, there's a piece of woman in her. And it's the woman and the man fighting the woman and the woman, and he keeps losing. He becomes less of a man, either a wimp or a bully. To get it, and when he's a bully, he wants to get his manhood back. The only way he can do that is to beat the hell out of her. Because he's an animal, not a human. You can't get love back by beating yourself up and stealing it from somebody. Even though Ronald Reagan had a different idea about that when he was asked about should you pay your taxes? So he says, well, with respect to what I just said, he says, if someone steals your horse and you go back and steal your horse back, is that stealing? So take your money.
So now at this point, if my family asks me something, I should never feel guilty if I can say, I shouldn't feel guilty if I say, no, I can't do it.
What you have to watch is see, your family, you're trying to save yourself in a roundabout way by saving your family. It's not possible.
No, yeah, but it's now not my siblings.
No,
it's
not your responsibility.
I have no children, but it's my nieces and nephews that have the love for me.
Are they all those kids good kids?
Yeah, most of them are good
Okay.
kids, and they care about me more than my...
That's great. They see the good in you. 'Cause
Yeah.
I did from the very beginning. I see you just twisted there, tied up there, and you didn't see it. Now, I have grandchildren, okay? I have 17 of them, and 2 great-grandchildren. And they love their grandpa. And guess what I teach them? Not to be angry with their mother and father, to get out of the problem with their mother and father so they don't have to feel guilty to try to straighten them out. Because the minute you start to see your mother and father fighting, the minute you get angry and upset because one of them will upset you, the other one will upset you, and so or one of them does nothing, the other one hurts you, and you have a combination of mishmash. And so you begin to resent your parent, and as a decent person, kid, you know it's not good to hate your parents. So you try to fix them. And you try to and then you start and try to fix everything so you can have peace. There is no peace. And after a while, if you spend years and years making a good living, and your mother and father are still fighting, and the more you try to help you and the siblings and everybody else, the more they laugh at you.
I know, yes.
Now I come back to the first story about my rich friend. Tried to help his brother. I said, you helped him too much. You see? You're his mother. You've never let him go, so he hates you for it. And now he's got money himself. He still hates him. He wants to be bigger and stronger than his brother who helped him. So that when the parents died, the fortune, he took the fortune of the parents when it should have been shared. And he got very angry. He said, why would you want to do that? I gave him everything. See, but I gave him everything, and now he has to have, he's as hungry, because he robbed his brother of life by doing too much for him. 30 years of doing too much. He understood it. But the point is, his brother became so angry, he wanted to get even with him. He wanted to take him and his fortune away. See? Because he's so angry, because that's all he had. He didn't have a life of his own. Now he had to have a life of his brother and his fortune. See? You're human beings, human race. The whole country's nuts. Look, you're a nice person walking down
But
the
I
street.
just didn't think family, I mean, just...
Listen, Jesus says, who is your family? Who is your family? He says, my family is the one who does the will of my Father. Is that right? Your family may not be your family. He says, look, he talked about family. I don't remember the exact words, but I'll say roughly what it is. He says, think with concerning the family, think not that I've come to bring peace or the sword. I've come to cause division. Husband against wife, children and daughter and husband, father against mother and daughter. Because each one of them has the right to choose salvation or not, to be a tease or to be a victim. See, it's within the family. Family does not guarantee family. I've done the best I can with my family, so it's not really broken. They're all together. They have their issues. I have the issues in my home. Still, there always will be. We'll hope that it won't be. But if it is, it's what it is. And when my grandchildren come, guess who they come to? They all come to me. And I teach them not to be resentful towards their parents. I teach them, especially when they get involved with girlfriends and they get into this hypnotic state and throw you under the bus for the girl. And then still have no respect for the family who brought them up and have every respect for this little tart. He gives them nothing. She thinks it's something. So, is to get those out of the parents will always say, could you help my son? He does it. Bring him in. How did you do that? I just know how to do it. And they love their grandpa. They don't love him at first because they give me a hard time because I'm tackling, they're defending the thing that did it to them. Don't you see that? They defend it. So the grandpa becomes the enemy. I'm not their enemy. I know how to deal with it. You feel better now? How's the anxiety?
It's good. It's lifting.
What were you crying for? Well, I saw a little tear just now.
The similar situation with the rejection and being all too responsible.
Look at you. Look what's happened to you. Look at yourself in the mirror. You're just, upset person all your life because of rejection. You know that woman? How many people saw that very gross, fat woman who was a school bus driver? Yeah. Did you see that? And the kids made fun of her and tormented her, and it became huge news. And you just see, you got the picture through a phone camera. What do you call it? Is that right? A phone camera? Yeah. iPhone. And so the kids took this picture of this woman sitting there, fat, bloated, and she was put in charge with insecurity and pathetic looking, with a miserable face. And guess what? Guess who the problem is? She was the problem. Now, I can't blame her for being the problem because she couldn't help herself being this fat troll under the bridge. But that is how the kids see this. This is an unnatural creature. If you walk down the average mall, these are not human beings. This is Munchkin land. And I look at them, and if I was a predator, I'd eat them all. Used to be that a predator could find a person by the way they walk and carry themselves and carry them away and kill them and eat them, rape them. But now they don't have to really be worried so much because they're all weaklings. The human race is getting weaker and weaker. So I'm just bringing this over to you a little bit so it may smart a little bit. But that woman, it was a living example of a troll under the bridge. Well, not a troll, but a useless, fat, disgraceful, nothing human being. Gross. Put in charge of looking out for the kids. And the kids were smart and they looked at this creature. And what you expect them to do? It doesn't look human. It doesn't. Who the hell does she think she is that you put us over this creature? They're insulted. All they can do is mock it. So the authorities that put it there, and the woman herself brought. Now, all of a sudden, the kids are naughty. She tempted the kids to be that way. A temptation. If you have a pathetic person, it brings out the worst in everybody, especially kids. A kid in school who's weak, they pick up the weak kid. It's almost like it's predatorial. See that? So you don't want to put a monster like that, a sort of a pathetic monster. Now, I'll give you one more example. I had a man, 6'2", 6'3", huge muscles, strong. And he had terrible fears. Why did he have fears? Well, he got angry one day and he hit a person so hard they almost died. It frightened him. So he made up his mind he could not do that anymore. But when he didn't show that strength, when he wasn't ready to fight, which often also matches somebody else ready to fight, if you know what I mean. It's just as dangerous one way or the other. But he became Gulliver, or gullible, because people could see that he didn't want to fight. So you could say whatever you want to him, and he wouldn't fight. He wouldn't stand up. He wouldn't angry. He suppressed the anger. And he got angry and angry and angry, and he developed this terrible fear he's going to beat somebody to pieces. Like my first gentleman, who I helped within 10 minutes, remember that? And so he developed fear. And the fear caused little people to tease him. And he couldn't stop it. He just wanted to kill all of them. But he couldn't. He was afraid of his own strength. I had to help him. It worked. See? So now, your need for approval, no matter how much you try, but you've never stopped trying. And you're hopeless. You have no life. You've given all your life to being nice and sweet and loving, and you've never lived a life of your own, have you? See? Your whole life in a hypnotic state of seeking approval and keeping the peace, seeking the approval and keeping the peace, never speaking up, everybody taking advantage of you and no one loving you because there's nothing in you to love. There's nothing in you worth respecting. So then you want respect, you do your best, and you're giving up hopeless. You're hopeless now. Where's your guts? Where's it got you? Why don't you try speaking your mind just for once? You could do it here. Someone's going to teach you while you're here, I guarantee you. Something's not going to be right while you're here. Do you see anybody here that looks like your mother? Your mother did that to you? Or your father?
Both.
Both. So, is there a man in this room and is there a woman in this room that looks like your father? Is there somebody here that actually reminds you of that? Would you stand up and look around for a minute? Would you mind? Tell me someone who looks like that. You've kind of got that something about them that.
The second gentleman over.
Which one's that? Can you stand up?
Yes.
Okay. You see, so that if he talked to you at the dinner table or something, you'd have a reaction to him. See, as a story, I had a person who hated their mother so badly. Well, it was not a mother, it was another person. So badly she wanted to kill her. But that person disappeared in her life, and one day she's standing in a line waiting in a post office. And she saw this woman. And she ran up with her, and she's just about to kill her. But it wasn't that person. It just had to look like it.
I feel dizzy and lightheaded
Right now?
when he stood up.
See? And He's not that. You're not that person, are you? You're not. What kind of person are you, sir?
I don't know. We're here to find out.
Thank you. That's a good answer. But you see that she had a focus on you, and she'd be judging you all through the seminar. She'd see you, and she'd judge you, and she'd resent you. That would keep that alive in her, and you wouldn't know it.
And I wouldn't know it.
And you wouldn't know it. Do you know it now?
I'm beginning to.
Good. I didn't mean to be mean. I didn't mean to degrade you in any way.
You didn't degrade me.
Okay. I just had to say what it is. So you can go on a diet now, look pretty, slim, strong. Get your confidence back. You know how you do it? Start with the food. Your food's been your friend, hasn't it? Food's been your comfort. Sure. So what you do is when you pick something up to put it in your mouth, stop for a minute and become objective to your hand, so like it's not your hand. You actually look at your hand and say, it's funny, it looks like anybody else's hand, it's like not my hand at all. When you have that state of mind, see that? You're beginning to shake? Yeah, where's the cross? See, come here. Here, let me see. Close your eyes. What does it feel like when I have the cross on you?
Just cool in the way of it.
There's nothing?
The touch of it.
Anything else? There it is. You see. Come out. Come on, have a good cry. It's there, isn't it? Something in there, isn't it?
Yes.
See, this cross is symbolic. The evil has the same reaction as humans do when you're traumatized, in the presence of the cross that says, you failed to kill me. So it represents the failure of the dark side. You'll be all right. Come out. What are you shaking about? Breathe deep.
I was waiting.
Go ahead. What are you shaking for? What's the shaking? What's it identified with?
I was waving at you.
Isn't it strange? Come on. How do you mean? Ah, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. You were waving at me, were you?
I hide a lot with humor.
Ain't funny. Doesn't like this, does it? You don't own her.
I can't see it.
You don't have to see it. I see it. It knows I'm there. It knows I know you. I know it. What's his name? Give it a name. Give me a name. Give me a name. Give me your name. Give me a name. Give me the emotion. Give me a name. Is it anger? Is it hate?
Hey. Hey.
Yeah. Hate no more. Look at your eyelids as you sit there quietly. Look at your eyelids. It makes your fingers tingle. Okay, I'm taking the cross away now, and it still will do the same thing. I'm sitting next to you, and be aware of close your eyes, keep your eyes closed, and look at your eyelids, and you see no thought, right? You don't need to see the thought. I want you to be objective to thought. I don't want you to be involved with thought. I want you to let me deal with the demon. Let me deal with the demon. Tell me who you hate. Tell me, do you hate God? You hate God?
Yes.
What good does it do you? Only sends you to hell more quickly. You don't want to go back there, do you? Do you believe in God as a person? You do, don't you?
Yes.
In this moment, I want you to cry to Him. Cry to Him. Just cry. Of yourself you could do nothing. Don't talk to this thing. Don't argue with it. Don't fight it. Don't fight it. Just leave it to me as a guide. Just relax. Let your head get a little bit heavy. I want you to feel your head getting heavier. Go, head get heavier, heavy, heavy, heavy. I want you to go to sleep. I want you to go to sleep. Just go to sleep. Just relax now. Let me deal with the thing. What do you want from me? You hate me? You don't like me, do you? You don't like me. I'm awakening this. I don't. She knows it's there now. She knows it's not. She knows it isn't you. She knows it isn't her. You've been living this life through her. She's never lived her own life. It's the spirit of your mom, isn't it? And your dad, but mostly the spirit of your mom coming through the generations. Yeah. No. Just leave her alone for a minute. Just sit quietly and let it take its own course. Come out of her. Come out! That's it. You know Jesus? Do you know Him?
Excuse me?
Do you know Jesus?
I want to know Him.
But the dark side knows Him. The dark side knows Him. He doesn't want you to know Him. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? Isn't that right? He doesn't want you to know. You don't want her to know Him. But she does know Him. She does know Him. There's nothing you can do about it. You've been found out. Calm down now, young lady. Calm down. Let the things stop growling. Stop growling. Stop growling. Stop talking to her. Go away. Go away. Go down through the floor to the hell where you belong. Leave her alone. Go away. Go away. Go away. Go away. I don't want to repeat myself. You are nothing. She is something. You are nothing. You've made her feel like she's nothing when you are the nothing. You made her feel like she has the guilt. You have the guilt. You have the guilt. She thinks that your guilt is her guilt. Your guilt is not her guilt. You only made her think that it is her guilt. You're the one that feels guilty. She's free. The game is over. You made her think those things. You made her think she's nothing. You are the nothing. You are nothing. Okay. Open your eyes now. Does everything look a little brighter?
Oh, yes.
Look at the room. has another light to it, doesn't it?
Oh, yes.
You'll be all right. You'll be a little tremor here and there. You can sit down now.
It really listened.
Yes, I know. It doesn't like me. But you see, now you have control over it. You know it isn't you. You always thought that was you. You always thought you were no good. It was the no good thing in you that came from the no good thing in your mother, in the no good thing from your great-grandmother, the no good thing in your great-great-grandmother. It just came to you. It found a place in you. No more.
Your words have a new meaning.
You'll be okay. I'm a Jew. It was free. Okay, you'll be okay. It's just a little tremors now. Your mind's better. Your mind is better. Your spirit. It may be a little bit more later. Well, are you finding this interesting? Well, there's going to be more of that. To see who's next. Okay. You'll be all right. It's just death throes. Death throes for that thing. No, nothing to worry about. I could go on all day long here. Just it's tremors. Any questions? Shall we stop here for lunch or not? Would you like to go a little bit more? Okay, let's break for lunch then.